Get comfortable. Let's have some money talk. I always thought it was so weird that of all the classes I took in school, there was not a single class that helped me to understand money habits and money management. And I know if you go to college for it, that's great. But I always found that so interesting. And I even asked one of my teachers why she thought it was. And she said, your parents are supposed to teach you. And I was like, well, what if your parents don't know? Anyways, I never got the answer I was looking for. And I felt like a video like this is important because I've made some money mistakes and I've realized looking back what kept me broke, and I'm still learning what isn't the best, but I've made massive strides, and obviously I'm gonna put you guys on. So let's get into it. Let's talk about money habits that are keeping you broke. It's never too late to make some adjustments, but I think some of these are not as obvious as people think they are, especially if you're similar to me and maybe you didn't grow up in a very wealthy family and nobody ever taught you how to manage money properly. Maybe these things don't come natural to you. They didn't come natural to me, and I had to learn the hard way. So hopefully this will save you guys some time so you don't have to make the mistakes I made. So first things first, the not so obvious one that I'm gonna throw out there, but I absolutely stand by, is your mindset around money. So I have another video. It is on the abundance mindset, and I'm gonna plug that here for you guys to go check it out. I went from working multiple jobs at one time, door dashing, you name it, I tried it, and still not really being able to pay my bills, to currently having up to 6-figure months. What rich people won't tell you is a lot of this is mental. If you have generational trauma in regards to money, where, like, for example, you didn't come from money, maybe money is like a stressful topic for you because of the environment you grew up in or the habits you saw from your parents. One of the things I had to fix with my money mindset was being fearful of it and being afraid to, like, check my bank account. Habits like that are not only irresponsible, it keeps you from being able to make adjustments in order to reach better financial goals. So your mindset around money is actually really important. You shouldn't have to fear it. It shouldn't stress you out. It should be something that you can confidently confront and learn how to control it. Don't let it control you. I won't harp on that one too much because I have an entire video on the mindset that can be applied towards money and other areas of your life. So make sure you check that one out. Okay, so the first mistake I would say that I made was not having a professional that could help me. So obviously I didn't get it in school, I didn't get it in college, I didn't get it from my family, so I didn't really have a resource personally to go to for financial advice. I eventually got a financial advisor, I think in 2018 or 2019, and it was honestly life-changing. I can remember the first meeting I had with my advisor, Brittany, and I was absolutely overwhelmed at the information. But what I loved about her was she never got tired of repeating things to me. She will repeat it until she's blue in the face because it's important to me to learn, to really understand what she's saying. I cannot recommend enough investing in a financial advisor and going to someone that can help you better understand not only how to save your money, but to grow your money, because that's the missing piece that not everybody understands. Is rich people aren't just harboring their money, they're strategically placing it to save and grow their money in their sleep. So make sure you have someone who can help you figure out a plan. And you don't have to be filthy rich to have a financial advisor, okay? You don't. But if you want to get there, you might want to get one. It certainly can't hurt. And that kind of ties into my next point, which is a mistake I was making was not investing at all. And I'll be totally honest with you, I did not know a single thing about the stock market until maybe 2 years ago. I didn't know anything about it. I didn't understand it. But something I noticed was the wealthiest people around me were investing. And I was like, well, I'm not doing that. I really didn't think I had to do something like that. No one ever taught me or explained it to me. And within my family, I had heard things like, oh, that's risky. The conversation was kind of like saying that it was almost like gambling. There are very different ways to invest. So let me start by saying that there are people who treat it like a gamble, who will invest in higher risk stocks, but they're all not high risk. So when I first started to invest in the stock market, I started investing in something called ETFs. ETFs are incredibly stable stocks that you will 9 times out of 10 see a return from. These are your Walmarts, your McDonald's, the most established like brands out there, and businesses and corporations that have been around very, very long, and will typically, you will see an increase with them. If you're someone who was like me, who didn't know where to invest, that's always a really great place to start until you understand the market a little bit better. But now that I have a financial advisor, what they've been able to do for me is diversify my portfolio. So now they have my money in different areas of the stock market. Some are more high risk, some are more, stable like the ETFs. But the way they determine how to disperse my money among the stock market is they give me this quiz and they ask where I stand and how comfortable I am with certain things. My test was actually like in the middle, so I wanted some that were kind of, I guess what you would call high risk but faster growth, and some that are more stable ETFs. And then there are some people who are aggressive with it and just really want to go in on getting the quickest return, which could mean that you could lose money in a sense, but it ebbs and it flows. So regardless of what your style is, if you're not comfortable with that, that's okay. That's why there's financial advisors, and their job is to do it for you, and they learn your style and then they explain that to you so that you understand where your money's going and how it's going to grow over the next few years or so. It's really important to understand at least a little bit that investing is important. If you have financial goals and you want to retire comfortably, these are things that you want to look into to make sure you're on track. So financial advisors, muy bien for that. Another mistake I was making was not budgeting at all. Particularly when I first moved to Kansas City, I was just like, yo, I'm gonna wing it. I was getting my every 2-week check, and it was very much so paycheck to paycheck for me. All I really needed was to go out to brunch and hang with some friends. But I mean, it was tight for me. It stressed me out to look at money, and that's why I go back to the mindset thing, because you can't let these insecurities and these traumas stop you from being financially responsible. You gotta put on your big girl panties. Do what you need to do to get there. When I first started, I wasn't being irresponsible, but I wasn't being responsible either. So I definitely could have saved more. I definitely could have watched where my dollars were going. I was a bit like impulsive with my spending, just things that weren't adding up. And then I would be like, oh, I don't have any money to go out, or I don't have enough money for this, for groceries. I quickly learned I need to stop putting myself in those situations. Budgeting doesn't have to be a complicated practice. Once I figured out I was headed down a not so great road, I just got an Excel sheet. I said, okay, what is my total check that I'm getting for the month? We got to take care of bills first. So your rent, your gas, your groceries, the things you absolutely need to live need to be the things accounted for first. And then give yourself some fun money. Yes, you need to socialize, you need to go out, but also if you're spending too much in those areas, we need to sit down and reevaluate how can we be a little more creative with our social life. We'll get to social spending in a second, but budgeting can drastically help you see where you're spending unnecessary dollars. Okay, so social spending. Spending a lot of money to hang out with your friends. Look, I get it. Friends, they want to go out for drinks, they want to go to brunch. Look, I've been there, done that, wrote the book, but it depends what your goals are, and not everybody can afford that. So hopefully your friends aren't necessarily putting so much pressure on you to constantly go spend money to hang out. I would definitely recommend, like I said earlier, getting creative with how you hang out with people. So for example, I would have my friends over. I would suggest like a fun activity that we could do together at my place. I mean, and it sounds corny in theory, but it's like there's so many fun things you can do. And now that you guys have TikTok, you can literally find so many fun things to do with your friends. The common one I've been seeing is the cocktail night. And basically, you have your friends over and everyone has to make a drink for everyone. So first of all, how much money would you spend actually going out to bars? And if you all got drinks for each other like that, it would be astronomical. But doing it at someone's home, getting the ingredients from the grocery store is not gonna even come up nearly as much as going out to the bars would, right? But that's a fun idea. Like everyone makes a signature cocktail and then everyone gets to try it. So by the end of the night, depending on how many friends you have, you could be 8 drinks deep. I mean, that's not, don't do that, but I'm just saying, think creatively, have your friends over, do something fun at the house. You guys don't even have to worry about bopping around to bars in your Charlotte Russe dress in 12-degree weather. So just get creative, y'all. The next one is a bit tricky. Credit cards. Credit cards can get you into some trouble. My rule for myself with my credit card is if I can't pay it off right then and there, I do not put it on a credit card. I look at my credit cards as a smarter way to pay for things because, for example, I have the Southwest card. I get a point per dollar. So at any point I could go take a trip because I pay for everything with my Southwest card pretty much if it's not for business. So like my rent, all that stuff, Southwest card. You're getting something back with it. So my recommendation is to look into credit cards that give you something back. Now, that said, my recommendation is to also be responsible using credit cards because interest rates can ruin your life. I've seen it happen to my family members and you just need to be really responsible with that because it can quickly suck you into a black hole. And you don't want that. It's not worth it. Do your very best to only buy the things that you can afford. And if you can't, please don't put it on a credit card. Don't do that. And look, I know times are hard and sometimes we have to do that, but if you don't have an active plan for paying off your credit card, it's going to be a lot harder. Just think it through and figure out what is the best option going to be if you absolutely have to use your credit card. So I talked about this in my last video, which was the influencer Q&A, and I talked about how crucial QuickBooks has been to my financial success and protection, just covering my ass, to be honest, because I wasn't tracking accurately. I thought I could do it all at one point and I was tracking all of my expenses and all my money coming in and going out with Excel sheets. That wasn't the smartest thing to do because even though I thought I was being very diligent with it, it was easy to miss a transaction and I was relying on myself to remember all these things, and then when you come around and do taxes, you better make sure that's accurate. So it was a headache and a half to try to track all those things. If you're not self-employed, this one might not be so much a you thing, but I do know QuickBooks has been a wonder for people who don't have businesses as well. Basically how it works is you hook it up to your accounts and your cards and it tracks all of your transactions for you. And the cool thing about that, even if you don't have your own business, is you can see, it'll like give you a pie chart and a graph of where you're spending all your money. If you've got 1,000,001 subscriptions, Netflix, Hulu, all these things, and you're spending a few extra $100 on some things maybe you could cut back on, it's nice to see all that laid out for you with something like QuickBooks. So that's just an example, but like you're going to a restaurant every other day and you're seeing thousands of dollars being spent just for eating out. That is one of the first places you can decide to cut money if you're trying to save. It's nice to see these things in front of us because it's easy to hand the card, swipe it, right? It's easy to do that. We don't actually fathom how much we're spending until we see it collectively. Like, wow, I spent $2,000 on Starbucks this year. That might be a little excessive, but hey, some people do their Starbucks run every day. That $6 drink, it could add up. So just look at those details and see how can you make accommodations to better utilize your money and use it towards things like maybe you want to travel more, so maybe you cut back in some areas. This is very helpful information. So QuickBooks is something that I highly, highly recommend just checking it out. So this one is not so obvious. If you are self-employed, this one is a little more geared towards you. If you are not outsourcing your work and you're at a point of feeling stretched thin, close to burnout, it's time for you to outsource your work. This is gonna make you more profitable, and listen how. When you are not so stretched thin and feeling burnt out, you can do better work. So for me, for example, I was playing a lot of rules last year. It led to me being very sick, mentally unwell, and I was in the bed a lot. I couldn't do my job the way that I wanted to because I was doing too much and I just didn't have the help yet. Once I actually got the help, hired video editors, management was also helping me out. Once I started getting that outside help, I was able to step up and do better work, and in return, get better brand deals, grow my audience. It's a domino effect when you can actually take care of yourself and put out better work versus trying to wear all the hats and just not outsourcing and hiring people to help you. And look, I get it. It costs money to be able to do those things, but it's an investment you're making into yourself or your business. Whatever that looks like for you and your household, you have to decide that for yourself. So it's important to understand where your energy is going and if it's benefiting you. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so these are money habits that definitely kept me broke. And I wanted to put it in front of you just so you were aware of them. Like I said, it's not too late to make adjustments to better your financial situation. I'm so happy to give this information because like I had to hit my head to learn it, and I hope you don't have to do the same. So if you ever have questions, let me know. I'm happy to share my resources, and I hope it seriously helps you out. See you guys next week.